All right, so just going through today's Forex list, and I spotted a short opportunity in the British pound against the US dollar of the 8-hour session by session flows. So let's look into this market. Number one, we want to understand what the daily is telling us. And here we can see that there is no obstruction until we reach this previous low. Now also notice that of the daily, this to me alone, price action wise, this is a rather bearish formation. We had a move lower. We had an attempt to actually break above that previous high. We actually did marginally, but we have rejected all the way to the previous open. Now, as we dig into the lower time frame, this is what's so compelling about this trade. Let me first of all mark with this drawing tool all the components that make it a compelling trade. Number one, we have a bearish candle that has closed below this previous level of support. It had actually been constituted around that point. We actually had what initially represented a fake breakout late Friday. Then we saw the open of markets on Monday, and we've seen the market once again correcting, reverting, rotating, whatever you want to call it, back down. So number one, we have a bearish candle. Number two, if we actually were to maximize this window, you will notice that volatility is already in compressing territory, which is a good sign, because whenever we go into a compression of volatility, the next phase is going to be once again, hopefully, an explosion in volatility, and that's what's going to provide the most rewarding times for us to be riding a trade. Third component or element that is in alignment with this short trade is the fact that the TL has turned to the downside in what we call, as part of the course material, a sudden change of slope. We want to enter trades whenever there's a sudden change. That's the time when we can adjust best our E ratio or our efficiency ratio, okay? Based on the stop loss placement and the reward that we'll be aiming for. And last but not least, we have a market where in terms of momentum and structure, both of the 8-hour and the daily, it's all flashing red. It's all indicating bears are the dominant force in here. So this is a trade where, let's now go through the placement of stop losses. If I actually can just move that, there you go. So in terms of entry, at the close of the candle, that's a valid entry. Reason being, because in terms of the candle size, we are not surpassing the unacceptable parameters, which would be this line right here. Otherwise, the bar would be colored in orange. So number one is answering the question, can we actually enter a market order? Yes. Second of all, what is the range, the average range in terms of the candles that have been printed as of late? Around 50 to 55. Does it make sense to place a stop around 50 to 55 pips away from the entry? Yes, it does. As long as the stop placement is beyond this level right here, that is a rather conservative approach. Anywhere between that line and based on the candle closes right here, that would be rather conservative. So anywhere between 50 and 55 pips, that is a very reasonable level to be placing stop loss. Now, in terms of the room to breathe for this market before it encounters the next traveling area, the FTA, first traveling area, that is giving us around almost 2 to 1, depending on where you're going to be placing your stop, okay? So overall, as long as you get a 1-to-1 wiggle room, that is an acceptable trade. And that's the reason why this to me is a rather compelling short that meets all the criteria of the CL strategy of the 8-hour. There you have it. All right, so just a quick update, fast forward 24 hours, and we've seen GBP US dollar following through with a couple of candles that sold off, specifically this one in Europe, so the pound really sold quite hard. And in the in the US session, we've seen marginal buying. Now, I'm not expecting that this market is going to be turning around at this point. I do believe that now we've actually dropped so significantly that the path of this resistance will continue to be this previous trend low. So I will be updating to the members of the room in the next 24 hours, and hopefully this is or this serves as a demonstration that I put the money where my mouth is, and that these are trades that get to be reported, get to be walked through by myself, and then the students can take it, can learn, can get constant and regular feedback, and then I am updating on these trade setups on a daily basis. Until the next video, is bye for me. Cheers.